Welcome to the Autocar India Dialogues presented by Reliance General Insurance in association with the Times Network. Today we're going to talk about the future of automotive dealerships across India, and we've got a section of dealers from across India with us. We've got Mr. Sanjay Thakker, who's the chairman and promoter of Landmark Group. We've got Mr. Tushar Kumar, who is the MD of Silver Arrows, Mr. Tanuj Pugaliya, who is the MD of Gallops Motors, and Mr. Hemang Parikh, who's the MD of Unnati Motors. Thank you all and for being here with us. The future, but before I get there, let's talk about the past a little bit. How much has it really changed? I mean, the scenario has become very different in the last 10 years between dealerships then and dealerships now, and the amount of cars we're selling has also changed drastically. So, I leave it open to you guys. What's the biggest difference?
What the changes we haven't seen in last 100 years, we are going to see in the next 15. Whether it is by way of electric cars, solar powered cars, driverless cars. We have been reading all about it for a very long time. My sense is that the pace of change in the automotive dealership hasn't been as fast as in the automobile itself. Let's break up the dealership operations into various segments. For example, there has been a lot of change in the way the inquiries are generated. But is there any great change in the way we sell cars? Little bit. Do we see a sea change in the after sales operations? Not that much. Used cars, yes. The technology has really taken over the entire offline space over there. So that's how I see the situation today.
Do you feel the same, that the dealerships still have to catch up with the way the automotive industry is advancing?
See, I would just differ in a way. Now dealerships is it is a emerging different sort of a business model. Initially it used to be more of trading. In past decade, more the sales consultant were focused more on collecting orders, people walking in, they wanting a particular product. Now things have drastically changed. Now with the advent of technology in terms of internet, in terms of smartphones, now the customer has also changed a lot. His aspirations have changed a lot. He comes very prepared. He knows what to buy. He knows for what he requires a particular thing. He comes here how he is going to basically transact that particular thing. So, like sales consultant, the customer is very well educated. And now when we talk of this particular business model, it is like now riding a 8-horse chariot. So it is something of that sort. There are various revenue streams. You just cannot make money just by selling car and technology. When once you are riding 8 horses, you require that technology because everything has to go in unison at a proper pace.
That's a very interesting point he made, that the consumer has also evolved. So do you really feel that, and do you feel that there's a gap today between the urban consumer and the rural consumer still, that there is a large gap and the rural consumer still somewhat similar to some time ago and the urban consumer has changed, or do you see this spreading across India?
See, the choice of product varies from the urban customer to a rural customer. But as far as the offerings what we as dealers give to the customers, I think more or less it is streamlined and it is more regulated by the OEMs. They have ensured that the rural customer gets the same kind of benefits as the urban customer gets, and also the coverage of the territory has been remarkably increased in the past few years. We have gone to the rural India. Now India has realized that the market stays in rural India and the reach of all the brands have increased. So keeping that in mind, the offerings what a dealer has to make to the customer has been sanitized, and also the major difference what I see in the two markets now is the customer is becoming more demanding in the rural area, which it was not earlier. Urban was always like that because urban dealerships were equipped with a lot of things, with all the facilities. But now the rural customer is also evolved and he is expecting more out of the dealer, a one-window solution for all the processes, systems, maybe accessories, insurance, finance, everything. As he rightly said, the technology is playing the role. And because of the technology, we are able to reach to these rural customers in a positive way and provide them their expectations.
Do you think that media, the access to information and technology has really changed the way the consumer now interacts with your people on the floor? Do they actually want that more information from your people, or is it an entirely different requirement?
Well, I think that is where the biggest interesting part of our business has changed. I mean, if I go back a couple of years, as you rightly said, that it was more of a transaction. But I think now managing customer life cycle for us has become critical, and that starts at the research stage with the customer using the internet and other sources of information at a far greater pace that we've ever seen before. So the kind of interaction now that the customer has with our people, with our team, at least on the sales side, is more of the touch feel factor and feeling the car during the test drive. The rest of the details, the customer is, I guess, far better than the salespeople what we have today, and he's far more informed. He's, it's a bridge between online to offline, and I think it's the experience of the car and how quickly we can answer questions which are related more to the transactional part of the business and the ownership costs that the customer is going to bear and the service requirements over the next 3 to 4 years of ownership, which are forming a larger part of the conversation at the inquiry stage.
In fact, I would go by what Tushar is saying and what Hemang also pointed out. There is a terminology which I read, and it sounds very interesting. It says robo, research online by offline. Now that is where India is. It is believed, I was reading the Nielsen report, and what it said is that 75% of the people who buy cars actually research it online. What was also interesting was that only 13% of the people stuck to their original choice. And interestingly, it would be very interesting to note that there were only 2 factors which people were adamant about: the color of the car and the price. So the brands really did not matter. Social media did. The word of mouth, as Tushar said, did. So it's a very interesting world as far as the sales process is concerned.
But has this information exchange also works flip side for you guys? Because there's, like you said, now you've learned something online. So there's a lot of information that's available to you about market research that probably wasn't before. It was door to door, and it was more, word of mouth that actually worked. So does that make it easier for you in some ways now?
Now our reliance on data is too much. He rightly pointed out, he was talking about lifetime value of a customer. Now, while we are selling a car, that is the first point. After that, our relationship starts with the customer. We need to determine the complete lifetime value of a customer. He has purchased a car, then he has purchased accessories, then the car will come for service, then if he is happy, again, new products are launched by the manufacturer, he gets upgraded and he purchases that car from us. So again, here the technology plays a very important role. And one more thing, I would point it out, majority of now the sales being made, the customers are basically how you use them as our brand ambassadors, and that can only come out of that delight factor. If you are delighting the customer, he is recommending your car. So nowadays, how do you call people into your showrooms? And that is very critical in our business. People, because there were times when you used to have road shows and inquiries, but now qualitative inquiries come to your showroom, where the kill ratio or the conversion ratio is as high as 35 to 40%. So you need to bring them, and that can come out only out of recommendation. So we need to determine the lifetime value of a customer. That is very important in our business, and here the technology plays a very important role. So this business is transforming like click and mortar sort of an arrangement. See, unlike mobile phones or other consumer durables, this will be a business which will never happen outrightly over internet. It is an aspirational product, like purchasing a house. No matter what technology you use on internet, but a customer, like virtual reality or anything, customer would like to visit that place and see that house for himself. Similarly, car. And we have seen many millionaires also purchasing my friends are having luxury cars, they sell luxury cars, but they might be coming to take the delivery. They want to have that experience.
Do you feel that?
Right.
You feel that, no matter what the level of the buyer, he still wants to come to the showroom or have the car brought to him and have that touch, feel, actual experience?
Actually, pray and wish that what Hemang is saying turns out to be true. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because we all have such lovely showrooms, and they look better when actually the crowd is in it. So I want the people to be in it for sure. Time will tell. As of now, yes, that's exactly what it is. But I also believe that going ahead, the original equipment, the car manufacturers basically will have to be mindful of the fact that the world is moving to an asset-light model. The point is that is there any case of making huge infrastructure? That is something I think everybody, the industry will have to sit down and understand whether the investment should be in brick and mortar, more and more investment. Obviously workshops are required.
Also, we are working on the assumption, I think now, that the consumer is here and has access to the showroom. There's a large variety of consumers that maybe want to buy cars for someone at home. Do you think that dealers can now go out and make these models for themselves? It doesn't have to be the manufacturer. The dealer could, give this proposition and allow people to buy cars with less hassle, paperwork, headache, and accessibility, because I'm sure a range of people want that.
Now, exactly that's what I was saying. Now, there are few manufacturers who have started experimenting this, like Renault. Already in Kerala, they have started a pilot. It is basically a digital showroom. Already during the time when Quid was launched, they had a virtual showroom over internet, and that was quite successful. So now there is a graduation in the mindset, change in the mindset, and things are transforming. We need to be prepared for that. Yes, it is in way, but then it is going to be click and mortar, both in physical form. That showroom has to be there, and again, technology, it will be a big enabler.
But do you think this will be an advantage in some way? Because in today's times, the biggest grouse I hear from dealers is the cost of overhead, especially land, the infrastructure, the people. That's the biggest grouse that they have, that it's tough to make things run. So do you think that this shift towards IT and will change the way cars are being sold and will make it easier for you guys?
To a certain extent, yes, because the investment, as you rightly said, is going sky high, and the returns are not that high because of the competition in the market. Most of the brands are now available in India, and they have made it available to the consumer of India. So it's getting more and more competitive. To cut this competition, technology is the key to success. I'm sure down the line, as Sanjay said, people are going to move towards online buying. As you also rightly pointed out, there are been companies who have been doing online marketing. So these things are picking up. But again, the crux remains that Indian customer is yet expecting that personalized touch to the complete sales process. So that is still there. Time will tell how it moves on to completely online sales. But as of now, it is a mix of both, and which is a very, very healthy transition what we are seeing, because we are from the generation who has seen days without mobile, without internet, and now we are seeing a lot of dependability on mobile and internet. So we are seeing a huge transition.
Let's pick up where he spoke about competition. I mean, that's now also changed drastically, because initially you had fewer models, you had less to sell, it was easier to keep a customer. Now it's harder to keep a customer because every second day there's something new around the corner in the next showroom with the next car manufacturer. So has that also become tougher over the years?
Of course, as customers are getting younger, they have access to information, and the younger customers, of course, have far more higher level of propensity to take risks and going in for brands which have just been launched, or a new model which has not been in the market for a while. They will continue to take those risks, and how you manage that customer over his life cycle. And we've seen data's shown us that the ownership cycle has shrunk versus what it was a decade back or 5 years back. There was a time when average age of a car that used to come in for a trade-in used to be as high as 7 to 8 years. Now we're seeing people coming in for a trade-in at the 36th or the 40th month or the 48th month. So he's sticking to the brand, the customer sticking to the brand completely depends on how you manage him throughout that life cycle. And that is where I think brick and mortar would continue to lead, because the after sales would be the critical factor in that. And cars are only getting technologically far more advanced. While we have solutions like you have go-to customer strategy in after sales as well, wherein you can go and service a car at the customer's house, especially in the rural markets. But as technology is getting better in cars, they would need to come back at their regular intervals to the service center for them to be managed and serviced well, and with the equipments that dealers or authorized centers would have. But how we manage that customer during that time and provide him services, for example, keeping him mobile while his car is in for service, these are service levels which are going to define, as you know, whether the customer stays with you, with the brand and then with the dealership. So I think management of customer life cycle is critical for us in today's competing times.
So perfect. He's led me into what was going to be my next question, because so far we've been talking about sales, but it's after sales also that really matters, and that's also changing drastically, I think, in the way it's being done across board. I mean, now I know you can track your car through a service, situation, but does that also throw up its new set of challenges? With the consumer, he's tracking his car, suddenly something changes on the job card, there's questions raised. So, what are the challenges with that?
The after sales part is actually the most interesting thing right now. I'll take it up from where Tanuj kind of mentioned about the costs going up for dealership. It is really the after sales which is right now paying for the salaries and bills of every dealership. With the onboard diagnostic chips, the connected cars, the technology that is in the offing, for the dealership, this is a kind of a challenge that the dealerships have probably not yet anticipated. There are cars which will tell you when they need servicing. There will be people who will pick that signal up and maybe provide that service before the dealerships do. Now there are organizations, there are websites which are working towards this. Now this is something which is for the authorized dealerships, this is a challenge that is something which people have not realized. I believe that the car manufacturers have to be slightly faster in adopting technology in India. I think it's a very conventional business model. I still say the pace that we have seen so far is not adequate, and that is really not the fault of the dealers, because the dealers are completely dependent on the OE for direction. So if the sales consultants or a service advisor's productivity has to go up, it is the OE who has to kind of mandate it. Right now people are just putting more manpower, more infrastructure, and which is making the entire system more inefficient and asset heavy. That's where we have a big challenge.
Do you also feel that? Do you feel that OEs, while they're giving enough to product, are not giving enough to maintaining the after sales of the product, that more input from the OE is needed?
It will be required. He rightly pointed out that the major chunk of our revenues come from, qualitative revenue comes from after sales. And after the ruling of Competition Commission in, I would say, near future, the spares would be available in the open market as well. That time the real challenge comes in about the existing dealerships. So the customer aspirations are same while he is purchasing a car or while the car is coming for the service. The aspirations are very high. Yes, the productivity has to increase. Different tools we will be required to adapt, how to catch hold of that customer so that he doesn't go out, because now for newer cars he is coming to us. But times are not far when he will be having multiple choice as far as after sales service is concerned. So a real challenge, a good debate has to be as far as after sales goes with the manufacturer amongst the dealers fraternity as such.
So it's a difficult future for you, as I can see for you guys. I'm going to ask you to sum it up very quickly for me. What for each one of you is really the most important need of the future, and what do you see as the biggest change for the future?
I think finally we are into the retail business. We need to own the customer. Now if during the life cycle of the customer we are able to hold him by giving him a very good experience which is not available on a faceless mobile phone or a computer, that is where we win. So it is going to be an omni-channel kind of a business model which I see going ahead, which will happen. We will have to use as dealerships a lot of technology for pre-sales, during sales, giving him a world-class experience, and through after sales where we give fair prices, great delivery of services, and that's where we will win.
See, I think for us specifically would be living up to bridging this gap from online to offline as far as both retail and after sales is concerned, because I mean, as we get more players into the after sales arena as well, they would be accessing the customer, and therefore how we can continue to give that experience, and above all transparency in dealing, whether it's at sales or whether it's in the after sales. And I think the biggest challenge that I foresee is retention of customers, and I think we have excellent examples in the market. Maruti is a prime example. I think if figures are correct, last year they would have done as much as 8 million after sales cars. That's almost, I think, 75 or 70% of the cars that they've sold since life. So there are examples out in the market. So if you're able to satisfy your customer retention then is a given, and I think that as a big focus would be there from our side as dealers as to how to retain that customer, and how to of course attract newer customers, the younger customers, from online to offline, because offline would be a key element even at the sales side as far as the experience of the product is concerned, because the touch feel experience can never be given online.
I test drive cars, I will not argue with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I partially agree to what they say, but on the other side of it, I feel that all this technology coming into the dealership business is actually enhancing the inquiry surge, and it will help us to get more inquiries, handle them conveniently, reach out to rural markets, reach out to more and more customers, educate them in a better way, educate ourselves in a better way, and live up to the standards of his expectations. Now the customer is the one who keeps pushing us to the expectations, to raise our standards of expectation. So that is what is happening via technology. So I see a flip side of it, that technology is here to boost the business rather than being a threat. Yes, the online sales and everything picking up in India will be a threat to a certain extent, but if you look at the scenario globally, I haven't seen a successful online car trading anywhere in the globe. Touch and feel will always prevail over this.
Yes, touch and feel cannot be replaced in this particular business. Yes, change is certainly there. It is not a threat. We need to change as per the aspirations of the customer. Today we need to understand the customer is very well educated, he is very learned, he comes very prepared. So now our showrooms are virtually experience centers to satisfy his aspirations. His aspirations start while he is purchasing a coffee in CCD. A 50 rupee coffee he pays for, and what experience he gets. Now he is purchasing an asset worth 6 to 7 lakhs walking into the showroom. So there is a multiplier factor in his aspirations, and we have to live it up to his aspirations.
Well, there you have it. Definitely technology taking over, and there is a lot of change, but the dealers are sure dealerships are here to stay.